Hello, Caesar here. This last week, a couple of weeks ago also, I spoke with a few people about, and this concept of commitment came up. And I noticed that for me, commitment doesn't seem right the way it is used nowadays. And also, I know that the semantic understanding of how you use concepts, how you use the words, and the words you operate, the concepts you operate with, your deeper semantic understanding, which most often it is unconscious, dictates the way you behave, you act or don't act, the way you respond, the way you react to whatever happens. All that comes from the inside, from that inner understanding of how you see that semantic understanding, how you see that concept, that it means, what's your understanding of that thing. And I put here some notes because this is a quick blog. I didn't want to commit too much time to it. And this is a note for you. This message is not about me telling you that this is the right way to use the word commitment or any other concept for that matter. This is a way to make you see that actually the way you understand concepts, it is made up. It is made up to start with. But in order to be able to change that made up understanding, you need first to be aware of it, so you need to be conscious about it, and then to be able to look at it, not through it, to be able to tweak it. And it is important to be aware of your semantic understanding, because, for instance, Immanuel Kant, that German philosopher, said a long time ago that the source of most conflicts between people lies in not defining correctly the terms that are used in that conversation. And when you think about that conversation being a conversation with yourself, now that makes that conflict even more damaging in this way, because most often when we have a problem of, for instance, getting stuck and making yourself to do something, like, for instance, in this case, forcing yourself to be committed to something. Now that means that inside of you, there are some conflicts that it's usually a conflict at that semantic level of how you understand that concept. It's either a case where you use the same word for two different understandings, for two different meanings in two different opposing situations, or it is a case when that meaning conflicts with some other value that it is important to you and you don't want to step over. So that's why, if the idea of commitment is fine with you the way it is culturally used, that's okay. You might have a different concept in your world which causes you troubles. So that's why. So in this way, you might want to go through this message and make the analogy between what I'm talking here with that particular concept and try to see how you can change your understanding of that concept to make your life easier. And again, I put here a couple of notes because I didn't want to learn all of this stuff, but I made a quick research on the internet to see how committed and commitment it is used nowadays. And it's usually about something external of you. I found that coaches, therapists, even sales managers, selling it's a thing for me. They use this commitment thing as having an outside, basically, source. Like, you're committed to your goals. How committed are you to your success or to the vision of the company or to your vision for that matter, and so on and so forth. And they link this commitment to things that you would do. Like, for instance, write down your goals, plan, making a decision, stay focused, work long hours, and, dedicate your time and energy to that particular goal, make sacrifice time from your friends and family in order to, achieve this thing, like an athlete, really sacrifice everything in order to win that tournament or whatever it happens to be. How much does success matter to you? Those guys even try to make you guilty in the sense, oh, you're not committed enough. You're not committed to this thing that you said that you want to do, and so forth. So in this sense, I find it is not really useful. It's not a really pleasant and harmonious energy the way this commitment it is used. How committed are you to eating healthy? you're getting fat, you're not committed to eating healthy and you're not committed to exercising. That puts some sort of a guilt, and this kind of energy is something that I don't like. And I looked in the dictionary, and the dictionary, as you know, describes the way the word is currently used in the society. And it is linked, commitment is something that you need to do, to perform, something that you're binding yourself to, you obligate, you make a pledge to that. Stuff like you devote your life to that, and so on and so forth. But again, this is what the dictionary says. And the dictionary says how the word it is used these days. I want to make it clear. I hope you know that. That's why I love etymology. And I love etymology, and I'm usually going in etymology to see the understanding of a particular word, going before the industrial era, before the 1700s and something, before 1700s-ish, in this sense. I believe the industrial era was 1760 or something like that. Anyway, so before that era, because in that period of time, the industrialists started to change the meaning of the words in order to obligate people to come to the factories and to be committed to coming to the factories and committed to do the stuff that the industrialists wanted them to do, and so on and so forth. That's where, anyway, I'm not going into that. That's a different subject. So I went into the etymology. And commitment comes from the Latin committere, which is composed from com and mittere. Com means together, refers like together, so it is a sense of harmony, it is a sense of consent, not a forcing, it's a sense of consent coming from com, it's a together thing. And mittere, which means to send, and it is connected with the word mission. It is related with the word mission. So basically, committere comes from to give in charge, to entrust somebody. So to send somebody to do something, you entrust them with whatever mission you told them to do, in this sense. And mission, basically, this is the understanding from 1590s. It is a sending abroad, basically more like those Jesuits, the Christians being sent abroad to spread the Christian religion in various parts of the world, stuff like that. So it is an act of sending, a dispatching, a release, sending at liberty, even discharge from service, dismissal, if you wish. So again, the understanding from the 1590s, it is to be entrusted, to delegate in this way. Now, look at this. After the Industrial Revolution, the meaning from 1793, for instance, it is the committing of oneself to pledge, a promise. This is only from 1790s. Or the sense of commitment as an obligation, as an engagement, comes from 1864. It was first attested in 1864. The meaning locked into a commitment comes from 1948. And look at this. The idea of committing oneself. So all of those previous understandings was about commitment about somebody else. But commitment about oneself, to commit oneself to something, was first recorded in 1982. So that's about 30 years ago, 35 years ago. Think about that. And now basically the way the word commit, it is used, it is only this way. Did you commit yourself to that goal that you said you want to have? You're not committed to that vision or stuff like that. So think of that. The way we use the word commitment today it first appeared in 1982. So my suggestion, if you're like me and you find this commitment concept as making you cringe somehow, this is my suggestion. This is the way I decide for myself to look at it. First of all, when you talk about commitment and about sending somebody and stuff like that, it is safe to say that basically you're talking about two parts of you. One of you which wants to stay safe, to make no change, to preserve the status quo, and it is safe to say that this would be your ego, whatever ego means to you. And also it is another part, which is that explorer part of you, that child in you who wants to explore, to go out and find things, to play with things, to see how they work, and you know, just to engage with stuff. And it will be safe to say that this is your authentic self, which is not tied down by whatever concepts about who you need to be or what are you supposed to do, though those pertains to the ego. So let's say that there are those things inside of you, the ego and your authentic self, in this sense. So let's say that this commitment, it will be like an agreement between those two parts of you. The ego, the self with the small s, and the authentic, the self with the big S. So in this sense, let's look at the commitment as an entrusting your authentic self to send him, go out in this mission to explore what happens about that thing that you want to achieve more. Let's say about that eating healthier and so forth. But in this sense, the commitment is not about the eating healthy. The commitment is about your willingness to allow this authentic self to go out and explore what it would be like if you were to eat healthy. But just let it go without hindering it back with preconcepts from your ego. Just entrust, just talk with your ego to entrust your authentic self with this mission, to play and explore with this thing about, I don't know, going about your goals, whatever that goal might be. But in this sense, I want to emphasize the commitment is not about the goal. It's not about how committed are you to the goal. The commitment is about your agreement with yourself. How much do you trust yourself to send your authentic self in this mission? Anything else that I put? No. Yeah, so in this sense, commitment being about your willingness to release this authentic self without any ties coming from your ego about what it was supposed to do or able to do or anything like that. Just to release this authentic part of you to go out and play just like the inner child inside of you would want to do. Think about that. And again, if commitment is not a problem for you, that's fine, that's all right. You don't need to change it. This is just my take on it. But if you find that actually you have other concepts in your life that hinders you, that hinder you and maybe get you stuck in some domains and areas where you want more results, think how actually or what your semantic understanding of those particular concepts, and notice how they help you or not helping you. And start from the presumption that whatever understanding you have over there, it's a made-up concept. It's nothing that comes from the word itself. It's all made up. And you have the freedom to change it however you want. It all comes from thought. It's how you think about it. But again, in order to be able to change that, first you have to be aware and then to look at it. And then allow yourself to commit yourself to be willing to play with it, to let your authentic self to go and play with it. See how it goes. I'm waiting for your comments on that. Take care.